In the south of the USA, you will find the Gulf Coast, but the Gulf in question has recently changed. The US government went from calling it the internationally standard Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America through a recent executive order by US President Donald Trump. This now joins a long list of well-known oceanic naming disputes, such as the Sea of Japan, which is also known as the East Sea in South Korea and the East Sea of Korea in North Korea, and the Persian Gulf, which is known by a lot of the Gulf states as the Arabian Gulf. But there is a much bigger dispute on a truly oceanic scale. But to discuss this first, how many oceans are there? Well, there are generally accepted to be 5 oceans in the world: the Arctic, Atlantic, Indian, Pacific, and Southern. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the Indian, Pacific, or Atlantic. You probably live next to one of them. The Arctic, granted, is a bit less lived on, but I imagine you know that there is a frozen polar ocean at the top of the Earth. The Southern Ocean, on the other hand, might be the least known of the oceans, and it's also the subject of the largest oceanic naming dispute in the world by area. The main issue being, where is the Southern Ocean? Since the 1800s, the phrase Southern Ocean has been used to describe the waters south of Australia in various places from Cape Leeuwin in Western Australia to somewhere along the Victorian south coast. It was defined in this way in the Act that created the colony of South Australia. In 1928, the first edition of Limits of Oceans and Seas was published by the International Hydrographic Organization. This formalised and defined several seas around the world, including the Southern Ocean. In this version, the limit of the Southern Ocean touched the tips of South America, Africa, Australia, and New Zealand, and it went all the way along the south coast of Australia and down the west coast of Tasmania. In 1939, this was adjusted, and the border of the ocean only touched South America, and with the Great Australian Bight being included as part of the Southern Ocean, it did then jump up to touch the southern coast of Australia as before. Then things got strange. In 1953, a draft delineation entirely removed the Southern Ocean and brought the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans all the way down to Antarctica, although the British retained an interpretation that the Southern Ocean existed south of the 55th parallel, meaning it only touched the southern tip of South America, and apart from that shared a ocean-on-ocean border the whole way around the world. This strange state of affairs continued to the 2002 draft delineation, where the ocean was brought back, but now is one which entirely encircles Antarctica and does not border any other continent, with an oceanic boundary at the 60th parallel south. This whole time, while international bodies drew and redrew the borders of the Southern Ocean, the country with the largest 1928 Southern Ocean coastline saw little change in its interpretation of the oceanic limit. Australia retains an interpretation that the waters south of Australia, from Cape Leeuwin in Western Australia, along the south coast of Australia past Adelaide, to Cape Otway in Victoria, and then across to the Tasmanian coast from Cape Grim to South East Cape, is the Southern Ocean, with the Great Australian Bight, Gulf of St Vincent, and Spencer Gulf being a part of it. Thus we have the largest and also most ignored oceanic naming dispute in the world. The disputed area actually only borders Australia, and in Australia, the waters to the south of our continent are almost universally referred to as the Southern Ocean. It's quite unlike other naming disputes around the world where people are divided by nations, such as in Asia, or divided by politics, such as in America. I would imagine that most Australians are unaware of any dispute over the name of the ocean off our south coast. I will say, though, this is a dispute that I have a fairly firm view on. From a continental perspective, I think it makes a bit more sense to divide the oceans around Australia into 3, the Pacific, Indian, and Southern, not just 2 with some random line drawn down the middle of Tasmania. In this case, I think they got it right back in 1928, and we shouldn't have played around with it since. Anyway, thanks for listening, and if you like this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to debate this or any other oceanic naming dispute, please feel free to do so in the comments.